I'm Big Will Levinson here live at Stoker Stadium, where it's the final game of the high school football regular season. The playoffs have begun for all classes across the state, 1A, 2A, 4A, and 5A, except for 3A, and that's what we've got here tonight. It's the Palisade Bulldogs. They've already taken home the Western Slope League title in the 3A class. They're taking on the Glenwood Springs Demons, so not much importance for league play, but for the overall rankings in the 3A playoffs, this is a big game for Palisade. Currently, the Bulldogs are ranked as the 4th overall seed in the 3A rankings. And right now, the three teams in front of them, all in the front range, Thompson Valley 9-0, the number 2 seed, Meade, they're 8-1, the 3 seed, Pomona, they are taking on Thompson Valley. Pomona at 7-2, the same record as Palisade. So if Thompson Valley can have a convincing win against Pomona, perhaps Palisade can jump Pomona for that 3 spot. Meade, they're the 2 seed taking on currently a winless team tonight. If Meade doesn't have as convincing a performance, perhaps Palisade, with a convincing victory here tonight against Glenwood Springs, perhaps the Bulldogs can jump themselves to the 2 seed. Why that's important? It means home field advantage throughout the postseason for the Bulldogs, which means more playoff games right here at Stoker Stadium. And speaking of playoff games at Stoker Stadium, we've got one on Sunday, not Saturday. It was moved from Saturday to Sunday because the Longmont Trojans had some travel issues. They'll be here Sunday, taking on the 9-1 Grand Junction Tigers, their first playoff game since 2019. The Longmont Trojans, they did not have a great performance when we saw them here against the Central Warriors, and those Central Warriors, they're in the playoffs. They'll be in Colorado Springs on Sunday, taking on the Rampart Rams, and it's the same team that Central lost to in the first round of the playoffs a year ago, so it could be a tough matchup for the Warriors. But we do have one playoff game happening tomorrow. That's in Delta. The Wellington Eagles will be in town at 1 p.m. for a playoff game for the 8 seed Delta Panthers. It's the final night of the regular season here on the Western Slope, and we have got playoff football beginning tonight on the Front Range and tomorrow on the Western Slope. It's a great time of high school football. It is winning time. It is time for those contenders to separate themselves and start to compete for state championships. Can the Palisade Bulldogs get a big victory tonight? Find out tonight at 10 on Friday Night Frenzy. Here live from Stoker Stadium, I'm Big Will Levinson. I'm Big Will Levinson here live at Stoker Stadium, where, folks, we are moments away from kickoff here for the final regular season game of the high school football season. It's the Palisade Bulldogs in action against the Glenwood Springs Demons. Not a ton mattering in the Western Slope League play because the Bulldogs, they have already taken home that Western Slope League title, so they're getting fired up to play a football game. But for Palisade, it's important for the playoff seeding. Right now, 3A, they're a week behind everybody else. The playoffs begin across the state in classes 1A, 2A, 4A, and 5A, but 3A still got one more week in the regular season. They begin playoffs next week. Palisade is currently the 4th overall seed in the 3A class, and as of right now, at 7-2, the Bulldogs trying to fight to get into that top 2 potentially. Thompson Valley, they're the number 1 overall seed. They're 9-0. They're taking on the 3 seed Pomona, who's also 7-2. If Thompson Valley can get a dominant victory, that would likely push Palisade over Pomona, assuming Palisade gets a victory here tonight. The 2 seed Meade, they're taking on Niwot, and that's a winless team, are the Niwot Panthers, but Niwot Cougars rather. But a big one here tonight for Palisade to be able to continue to rise the rankings, because if Palisade can get themselves into that top 2, it would mean home field advantage throughout the playoffs all the way through into the state title. Regardless, Palisade will be in the playoffs, and they're going to be here next week to begin the playoffs next Friday night. Obviously, we don't know who that opponent is yet. We'll decide that tonight, or rather, we'll decide that on Sunday after the games get final tonight. But Palisade taking on Glenwood Springs, we expect a big victory for the Bulldogs, and if they can take care of business, they'll get themselves higher and higher into those rankings. We'll have all of the results for you coming tonight, including the highlights coming tonight on Friday Night Frenzy. Plus, we'll have a playoff game here on Sunday, not Saturday. It was moved from Saturday to Sunday. The Longmont Trojans had some traveling issues getting here. They're going to be taking on the Grand Junction Tigers. The Tigers' first playoff game in 5 years. Since 2019, will be right here Sunday at 1 p.m. as the Tigers look to get to that next round. They'll be traveling to Ponderosa next week if they can beat the Longmont Trojans here on Sunday. And Longmont, we saw them here a couple weeks ago taking on the Central Warriors, and it was all Warriors in that game. Central dominated Longmont 40-14, and those Central Warriors, they'll be in the playoffs also on Sunday on the road against the Rampart Rams. That's a 1 p.m. kickoff in Colorado Springs. But we do have one playoff game on Saturday. That's the Delta Panthers. They're hosting the Wellington Eagles 1 p.m. Saturday. The 8-seed Panthers looking to make a run in the state 2A state tournament like we saw last year when they won themselves their first state championship in 63 years. Moments away from kickoff here at Stoker Stadium, the Palisade Bulldogs looking to get a victory, looking to get to 8-2 on this season. We'll have those highlights coming your way tonight on Friday Night Frenzy here live from Stoker Stadium. I'm Big Will Evanson.